Me again, another edition of the Templar Report, and today we're going to be speaking about Iran, very important subject. We're going to talk about Boris Johnson, now the Prime Minister of Britain, and what's he really like. You'll be surprised. I want to introduce you and tell you, get these swords because we're running out, so you have to get them quick while they're still about and while I've still got fingers, my goodness. Also want to talk about the soldiers in Britain being persecuted, Soldier F, and the thing the British are doing, taking it from the Americans, the Rolling Thunder rallies, biker rallies, all over the country supporting our troops. Come, watch the Templar Report, learn all about it. See you then. Hello again, Jim Dowson here, guest presenter with the Templar Report. Well, what have we got for you today? Well, first of all, let me apologise that I've been missing for a week or so because I've been in the good old US of A. I was in Pittsburgh. Well done to everybody in Pittsburgh. Thoroughly good conference, very good. Strange weather, but reminded me of being a boy because I grew up in a steel town, which is no longer functioning, just like Pittsburgh. But it took me back years because when the rain was falling, I could smell that particular smell rain makes when it hits slag coming out of the old furnaces. It makes, in the pig iron waste, makes a particular smell. So took me back years, and we went and seen the town where the Deer Hunter was filmed. All quite incredible. It was like going back 30 years of my own life to my own upbringing in a steel and coal town. So I know what like it is, and sadly they're not much the same state as my old town. But what was noticeable was how many people from that town had given their lives in defence of their country. There was a big board up. And isn't it always the same that the poor, hard-working people are the first ones to sacrifice for themselves for their country, yet they've got the least to gain? Isn't it odd? It's the same in America as it is in Britain and everywhere else, all over the world. And then the elite sit back and laugh and mock and try and screw our lives up. So, next time there's a war coming around, make sure the elites and the politicians send their sons first, and we will gladly follow them. So, that's that. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things. In Britain today, Boris Johnson is the new Prime Minister. And everybody's saying, oh, wonderful, Boris Johnson. He'll get us out of Europe. Don't be too sure, because a few months before Boris Johnson led the official Leave Europe campaign, he was an ardent pro-EU person. He was a Remainer. He wanted to stay. So, he is in a typical politician mode. He's got more faces in the town clock, so he cannot be trusted, this man. I warn you. Everybody's leaping about, dancing and celebrating. I warn you, Boris Johnson is not to be trusted. Take it as a fact. His ancestry is very weird. He's got a Turkish Muslim grandfather, a great-grandfather, and he's also got, I don't know where they come from, Hungary, Jewish heritage. He's got some other heritage. He's quite a mixed bag. So how loyal he is actually to Britain remains to be seen. And he's got more women on the go than a polecat. So I don't know what's going on with the guy. I don't like him. I don't trust him. And just watch this space because I'm sure he'll do the dirty. So probably better than we had before. But there will be a snap general election in Britain within the next few months. There will be, definitely will be a general election. And I would expect the Conservatives and the Brexit Party to unite as one front and try and fight the election. They should win it, because if they don't unite, Labour will win it. And we will have Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister and Diane Abbott as, what will she be, Home Secretary? Can you imagine Diane Abbott as Home Secretary? Oh, dear me. Britain will be over. It will be finished. It's the end. Genuinely, you'll be back to the 70s when the electricity was only on 2 or 3 hours a day. You're down to a 3-day week, and petrol quadrupled overnight. Imagine if petrol quadrupled, you'd be paying almost £30 a gallon. That's $50 in America a gallon. We're already paying, in American money, $11 for a gallon of fuel. In America, what is it, 2.5? Yeah. Well, if Labour get in, it's all over. So we'll wait and see what happens. I'm sure the Brexit Party will cooperate, because then Nigel Farage will be shuffled off and get a peerage, and he'll be in the House of Lords, and the Brexit Party will be destroyed or consumed or assumed or assimilated into the Tory Party, and that'll be it. People often say that, that's your opinion. Templars don't have opinions. We base everything on many years of experience, and that's what's going to happen. You can take that to the bank, and don't listen to any of these other idiots that waffle online. That's what's going to happen. Be assured. Whether it happens in the next 2 months or 3 months, or whether it happens just before Christmas, don't know, but it will happen. So that's that. What else do I want to talk about? I want to talk about big carry on in Britain, and it's also happened in America in the past. Soldiers, ex-military personnel being picked on by the government. We've seen this in the Iraq War with Americans. Now we're seeing it in Britain. But it's even crazier here. It's even worse. We have a big case called Soldier F. He's a man who's accused of taking part in crimes in 1971 or 72 in Londonderry during the Irish Troubles. That's a long, long, long time ago. How many years ago is that? 50 years almost? 50 years ago. 50 years ago. Now, I want to make something quite clear here. I don't believe that soldiers who break the law should have carte blanche to do so and get away with it. If a soldier steps over the line, the same as anybody, they should be subject to the law. But there are different circumstances with soldiers because they're in high-stress battle zones. They've been getting fired at for maybe weeks. They've picked up their friends' brains off the road. And it's not a civilian situation. So I really don't think you can apply civilian law to military people. It doesn't make sense. It's nonsense. It just doesn't make sense. So that's one thing said. However, again, to reiterate, nobody should be above the law, including our soldiers. And this same regiment, the parachute regiment who shot up the people of Londonderry, and I come from a loyalist Protestant background, and I've absolutely no doubt there was provocation that day. I've no doubt that the IRA were following Che Guevara's handbook, which said create a situation where the law forces look as if they're brutalising the people and then capitalise on it. I've no doubt at all that a shot was fired. I've no doubt at all that the situation was stoked up deliberately to get the troops to react. But that doesn't excuse them. It's as simple as that. It doesn't excuse them. 13 unarmed people were shot dead that day. It's outrageous. And the same regiment, 3 days beforehand, shot up a Protestant pub in the Loyalist Shankill area. That's why they're not flying any flags to support the Paras. And they'd done horrible acts of brutality against the Protestants a week before. So this is a regiment, in my opinion, people say they were out of control. They weren't out of control at all. They were ordered to go in hard and heavy. So it's not the soldiers that should bear responsibility for this, it's the hierarchy. Some of them perhaps should be examined and seen if they should maybe be looked at in a normal state of affairs. However, you've got to understand this about Northern Ireland. We had a peace agreement 25 years ago, and the deal was very simple. All the terrorists got out of jail. Doesn't matter if you killed children, doesn't matter if you killed grannies, didn't matter what you done. You got out of jail, and the slate was clean. Other people who weren't captured at that time were given letters, I think called letters of comfort from Tony Blair. So if they were captured, they had this letter that would make sure they didn't go to jail or were tried for their crimes. Or if they were tried for their crimes, it'd be basically, don't worry about it, the deal's done, you're free to go. Now that's a lot to swallow for the people in Northern Ireland who've suffered so much. 4,000 deaths in a wee country of 1.5 million people. Terrible pill to swallow. By the way, I was totally opposed to it. I was opposed to the peace agreement. I was opposed to terrorists getting out of jail. I was opposed to everything. We should never have stopped the campaign. We should have got the gloves off, and every single person who lifted an arm against the country should have been dead, shot where they stood, and no reprisals in court. It's the way it should be. If you're a soldier and you class yourself as a soldier and you've got guns and arms and the other soldier shoots you dead, stop being a bitch. You're in an army. You were shot. Too bad. But in the Northern Ireland conflict, you couldn't shoot somebody if they turned their back on you. So you could empty a full magazine at the soldiers, turn your back, the soldiers could not fire at you. That's the situation we had. So we've got this carry on now where many soldiers, but the headline one is Soldier F, are being pursued for these crimes, so-called crimes, 50 years ago. 50 years ago. After the terrorists and everybody's been let out, everybody's been told to move on, which I wasn't happy with, but I had to accept it. With gritted teeth, but I accepted it for the sake of peace and the next generation growing up free from the aggravation we had. But the Shinners, the Sinn Féin and these people are pushing to have soldiers charged. Well look, here's the deal. Let's do it. Let's get all the soldiers pulled up. Let's get them all charged, and if they're guilty, let's get them in jail. But let's get Jerry Adams, all the IRA men, we know who they all are. Let's get them all rounded up, all the UVF men, all the UDA men, everybody who's involved in armed conflict. Let's get them all tried and get them all back in the jail. That's fair. So they're either all out of jail, free, with no reprisals, or they're all back in jail. That's it. Can't have it both ways. And for our government, the British government, Theresa May, the Prime Minister, to actually insist that these soldiers are pursued is ridiculous. They're a bigger enemy in the IRA everywhere. They are the real enemy, the elites sitting in the English Parliament. So this needs to be dealt with. But what's came from that is a good thing. Soldiers in many barracks are at the point of rebellion. That's a fact. Soldiers are at the point of rebellion. There was a big rally in London a few weeks ago and many soldiers just bunked off and went to the rally. And if the government pushed this, I'm telling you, soldiers are going to turn on you. They're going to turn. You cannot do this. They will not put up with it. So I hope they do it. I hope the government do it. Brilliant. I'd love to see the soldiers in open rebellion. Nothing to do with us, but if you push people so far, you're going to get a reaction. So, following on from the Americans in Britain, the biker clubs have come out and supporting the troops, as they rightly should. And they're doing a thing that's first started in America, Rolling Thunder. You remember this, our American friends, the Rolling Thunder. So thousands of bikers are all getting together and gathering in Swansea, which is in Wales, on the 3rd of August. You can check our Templar website for details of the Rolling Thunder events, or if you're ex-military, get into your old regimental page on Facebook or wherever you've got it, and they'll have details. This is happening all over the country. London has also got one on the 28th of September, a Rolling Thunder event. So I would encourage every single person with a bike, a motorbike, even a push bike. In fact, with no bike, just be there. Be there and support those who defended us. Everybody should be there. Tens, if not hundreds of thousands of men need to be there. And by the way, the police are cutting up rough about this and bringing out the riot police. So be prepared to stand your ground. So there you go. Swansea, 3rd of August, Rolling Thunder. London, 28th of September, Rolling Thunder in support of our troops who have been persecuted and pursued by the political elites. So we support that 100%. We'll be behind it. Again, we don't support criminality in anybody, especially the troops, but we do not support injustice and unfairness. And this is unjust and it's unfair. So I want to show you something else as well. Now, before I go into that, let's tackle the thorny subject of Iran, or Iran, as you Americans call it. And I know the Americans hate Iran, always have, because you've been brainwashed and fed nonsense about them for years. Here's the deal. Iran has grabbed a British tanker. Outrageous. And America and Britain are saber-rattling and saying we're going to sort these people out if they don't give us a tanker back. Well, look, you should know by now. Don't trust the mainstream media. Why has Iran grabbed one of our British tankers? Because a few weeks ago, we, the Brits, grabbed one of their tankers at Gibraltar. Why? Well, here's the thing. The European Union, which is a fascist or Soviet quango, in fact, it's a Soviet fascist quango, if you can get such a thing. Well, we do. It's called the EU. These crackpots have decided there's an embargo on selling oil to a sovereign nation called Syria. You're not allowed. However, the last time I checked, Iran was not part of the European Union. In fact, Iran is not even part of Europe. So they're under no obligation whatsoever to follow an EU directive. Okay, people in Europe cannot sell, in law, oil to Syria. But Iran's not in Europe, and Iran's not part of the European Union. So it's not signed up to any of the conditions, any of the agreements. So they're completely free agents, sell oil whoever they want. But because they've been sending a tanker to Iran, a sovereign nation, the British seized their tanker in Gibraltar a few weeks ago. So the Iranians, as we would, as you would, as anyone would, has retaliated and grabbed a British tanker. That's it. So let's not go along with the warmongers and the hawks want to attack Iran all the time. They're actually been very reserved considering the humiliations Britain and America and everybody else has heaped upon them. I'm surprised that country's not went mad a long time ago and get stuck into it all. And I heard a lot of people thinking, or a lot of people saying in America, that the Americans should sort out these Arabs in Iran. Let me correct you. Iran, the people in Iran are not Arabs. They are Persians, but they're also Aryans. Oh yes. So if any of you are sitting watching this with all that Aryan stuff, they're Aryans. That's the crucible of the Aryan race is Iran. So let's get things right here. They're not a bunch of Arabs. They're Persians. They're a highly sophisticated, ancient people. when ancient religion, in fact, the three wise men came from there, Zoroastrians or something, Zoroastrians. They are very clever people, very smart people, very tough people. And if we start a war with them, it will not be like the Iraq war. There will be hundreds of thousands of young Americans and young British men and women coming home in body bags. It'll be a proper war, not fighting a load of folk with six tanks and 4 camels. It'll be very different and very painful. So let's not go there. Or again, if we want to go there, let's follow the politicians' sons into battle. I'll follow them. If I see the politicians' sons going into battle, I'll be the first guy to sign up. But I'm pretty sure I'll never be called out on that one, because they know what's good for them, and we're only cannon fodder. So let's not be fooled. Talking about fighting and wars and all the rest of it, I want to show you something marvellous. I want to show you something spectacular, because we were there recently in Toledo, in Spain. Look at this. Get it right the right way. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Now, you won't see it all in the video, but look. Look at this thing. Unbelievable, isn't it? And it's got the Templar motto in Latin across the blade. Real, high carbon, tempered steel. There's a good old weight in this thing. You can do a lot of damage with it. Not suggesting you do, but you can certainly defend yourself. And that's the Templar swords. We have a new batch in, because these are handmade, so they can only be made so many at a time. But we went to Toledo in Spain recently. There was the Corpus Christi festival was on, and we were taking around the factory and seeing the guys, and the sparks were flying and the flames. Oh, it was incredible to see how these swords are put together. Fantastic. Can't tell you how wonderful it was to actually see skilled craftsmen working with the metal and producing these things. It's fantastic. But we have a new batch in, so I would suggest, these are not sharpened, I might be able to lift it, and all the leather and all the fretwork here, and they're just amazing. Look at the thickness, the pommel here, it's unbelievable. They're really, really superb. And obviously the 2 knights on the 1 horse on that side, and the Templar cross on the other, they really are superb. So I would urge anybody who's not got one of these to get one. You'll see the link below me now. Click on that, get one of these ordered up, because I don't really know how long the supply will go on for, and I would hate you to miss out. So please get these while you can. There's also a new battle axe out, which is a vicious looking thing. Oh, horrible looking thing, but beautiful, but in a deadly way, if you know what I mean. I don't have one of these at the battle axe at the moment, because they've all been sent out. That's how popular they are. So if you want one, you'll see the picture here in the link. Order one, but they're taking about 45 weeks to come in. But you need to order them now, because they are very, very rare, because quite a lot of time goes into making these things. So that's really all I've got to say to you today. We're still working on the American Priory, progressing slowly. We've got another project coming up, which is a chapel for the Holy Martyrs. Small prayer chapel, stones, 400-year-old building in Ireland, which needs some renovation to get it restored with an altar and some Templar stuff in it to be dedicated to the Holy Martyrs of the Faith. So I won't go into it too much now. Next time I'll tell you more about it. You'll see it appearing on the website. Just keep your eyes peeled. So in the meantime, I'd just like to wish you all the very, very best. I'm feeling incredibly pressurised, because it's like 69 or 70 degrees here, which is tropical for us lads. And I'm feeling terrible. The heat, I can't sleep, it's dreadful. So how you boys do it in America and different parts of the world, like Australia and New Zealand and Canada, who are watching this, in South Africa and Spain, or wherever you may be, the Templar fan base, I'm just glad that most of the time I live in Ireland, where it's nice and cool, nice and wet, and always a mist in the air. It's wonderful, and it's very Templary. So thanks very much. I'll speak to you again on the Templar Report. Until then, God be with you. Thank you.
The threat is real, and we are on the front line. In a world of misinformation and attacks from the left and mainstream media, censorship, deplatforming, it is time to call out the fake news and bring you the truth. We are the Knights Templar. Visit our website and join today. We are the Resistance. Deus Vult.